Can the Chicago Sky finally snap their losing streak? Let's hope so, but we're going to talk about it, break it all down, have some fun in this pregame show. But first, we got to play this intro.
Welcome to Chicago Sky Central, and here's your host, Haize.
What's going on, Sky fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Sky Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Sky related. I'm the host, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chicago Sky Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this content today, y'all. And listen, I know I missed the Indiana Fever game. It sucked. It really sucked to not be able to be here for that game, break it down either during the game or after the game. But ultimately, it was probably for the best because that game utterly pissed me off. But our Sky are right back at it against an even better team in the Minnesota Lynx, who right now are 23-9 on the season. Nefesta Collier is killing it right now, 20 points per game that she's averaged. She's leading that team in points, rebounds, and steals. She's leading that team in. And then you have a couple of former Chicago Sky players, as well as Courtney Williams and Elena Smith, playing pretty well for that team also over the course of this season as well. So, I think Elena Smith is out in this game, so we're not really worried about seeing her in the game tonight. But other than that, man, it is going to be a absolute shit show if the Sky cannot play solid defensively. And I know the offense for the Chicago Sky has been the biggest Achilles heel. Like, the offense has absolutely looked like trash, but the Sky had a defensive identity earlier in the season they just have not had since the Olympic break. And honestly, if we're being real, the Chicago Sky's defense started slipping a little before the All-Star break. And so now it's just been bad. It's been bad defense, stagnant offense, not really running players or anything out there that even looks like it. Right now in the middle of a 5-game losing streak. We're trying to avoid making it 6. We got 10 games left on the season, I think, something like that. 9 games left on the season. 9 games, 8 after this game. And so the Sky don't really have a lot of runway to try to figure this thing out. And that's something that I said, earlier after the trade, is that for most, like an NBA team, for example, if you make a midseason trade, you got a good 15 games, that you can rep that player up before you're really like, okay, is this working or not? The WNBA, you don't have that. It's a 40-game season. Like, they probably had 12 games left after they made the trade, so they don't get that extended period of time to work out the kinks. You got to try to find a way to work out those kinks. And with the Sky stagnant offense and not really having a point guard that really is a distributor like they need them to be, and with the lack of three-point shooting, it's just been bad for the Sky. The offense has been god-awful. Coach Weatherspoon has not really helped it with her coaching at all. There are some, right? And I'm not saying that Spoon should be at this level yet. I give it a little credit. I know some people are like, well, you can't call her a rookie coach. We're halfway through the season. You do know a rookie season is a full season, right? But I will say that there are a handful of coaches that, even with the limitations that certain teams have, can find a way to try to make something work. And right now, with where Coach Spoon is as a coach right now, I'm not saying that she's going to be this. No, I'm not saying that Coach Spoon needs to be fired. But with where she is right now, she doesn't really have a good understanding of how to get those fine-tuned things out when you don't have a solid top-to-bottom roster. So when you have the glaring holes that the Sky have in their personnel, Spoon hasn't really found a way to kind of overcome that with coaching yet. And that's a downside to the team. So it's a lot going on right now hurting the Chicago Sky. Yes, lack of three-point shooting is one. Terrible half-court offense is another one. No really good point guard play. Angel hasn't been the same either the last few games. Camila Cardoso is really starting to become more of a beast, and I really do like that. And so over the course of the offseason, you're going to try to fix a lot of those things. You're going to, now with Camila and Angel being who they are, how do you pair those things, right? How do you figure that out? Getting a point guard that can help those things is going to do a lot with that also. How do Camila and Angel add to the game in the offseason? So these are all things that are just normally part of the process of being rookies in sports. And we're just seeing we're on the back half of that right now. And in the worst part of it, this is actually probably how I expected the season to start off, not finish. But it is what it is, man. And so, like I've said many times, to kind of put it in perspective, the Sky are still ahead of schedule. And I know people don't like to hear that. I know people like to say, well, you have 2 top 10 picks. Yeah, it's only 12 picks in the draft, right? But yeah, it takes time. Everything isn't this add water instantly, you just got it going. So, the Sky are still ahead of schedule. I'd say the fact that we had 18 wins last season, we're already at 11. we have a chance to match that. I don't know how well we're going to come to that, right? But like, this is a team that's figuring it out, man. And we don't have a former Finals MVP in Kalia Copper, right? We don't have a Marina Mabrey to finish the end of the season. You don't have, the bench that the Chicago Sky have had over the last couple of years. So, it is what it is, man. And ultimately, I think that this, from what Jeff Pagliosha, the Sky's GM, has shown us in his one season of being in GM, he's going to be aggressive. And that doesn't always pay off, but he's been smart and aggressive. And I'm hoping that that's going to pay off for this guy. You got 2 picks in this upcoming draft where you can get some really good talent that can fit the timeline. You got some players that are still restricted free agents that you can look to bring back to fill out the back end of that bench if needed. And hopefully as well that, with whatever we do in the draft and things like that, maybe more players want to come here. So we'll see what happens there. One thing about the WNBA that's different than the NBA as well is that free agency happens first and then you have the draft. So be on the lookout for that too. So there you go on that one. But yeah, overall, man, it is what it is when it comes down to it, and we'll see where the Sky end up, man. I'm a Fever fan, but damn, we need a great ops team. I hope Sky manages to get we will. Make no mistake about it. The Fever and the Sky are going to be rivals for a long time coming. What's going on, Anita? Glad to have you in the building. Everybody take a breath. I mean, it is what, at the end of the day, it is what it is. Is Kennedy Carter playing? Last I heard is that she didn't travel with the team. That doesn't mean that she couldn't fly in later at the date. So she didn't travel with the team. But let's see if they put anything out there. I don't see anything out there that says one way or not officially yet, at least not on the sources that I use. If you guys have something different, let me know. But yeah. Yeah, they have to play defense. Absolutely have to play defense. Kennedy Carter's out for the game due to COVID-19. So they finally did admit that it is COVID. So that's good. That's good. Because once it was health and safety, that's what it kind of sounded like, is that it was COVID. So I'm glad that they can officially say that they have said that. We about to get blown out by these 3 balls. I mean, listen, probably. I don't think that there's any. Yeah, that's a safe bet that we're probably going to get blown out. But it is what it is, man. That's what I want them to focus on defending. Yeah, defense. I completely agree with you. Even though we are shorthanded today, I would like to see the team play hard and play smarter. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, I'm glad that they're still trying to compete. As much as, the Sky in the last few, not the game against the Fever, but the last few games have, made it interesting down the stretch of the game. I'm glad that they're still learning those things of how to compete and try to go out and get it. And that's the important part in this as well. Feed Camilla the ball. I mean, you got to have a point guard to feed her the ball. They better not be doing that dribble, the shot clock bull. That costs us a lot. They're not even shooting well enough to do that. I agree. Listen, I don't disagree with you. I don't mind losing, but let's lose with dignity, please. Hey, Camilla, Allen, Bantam, they are the Sky saver. Bantam ain't saving nobody. I'm sorry. I don't know where you get that at. Bantam ain't saving nobody from nothing. Now, Lindsey Allen, when Lindsey Allen is on, it's great to see, and she's a streaky player. That's fine. She's been that over the course of her whole career. Lindsey Allen is one of the veterans that I do hope we stick, especially when we get a young point guard next in the draft. I hope Lindsey Allen is still here to be the veteran, because Lindsey Allen, it's such a special, when she gets in the rhythm shooting, scoring wise, you'll look at her and be like, why don't you average 17 points per game? Because when she's on and in that rhythm, man, does it look flawless. It looks flawless out there. It's conceivable that the Sky may not win another game this season. I mean, yeah. Listen, I would love to be able to sit here and put up an argument like, oh, no, Brian, you're crazy. They're absolutely going to win at least these games. It's not outside the realm of possibility. I mean, when you lose to the Mystics, anything is possible. Anything is possible. So yeah, I mean, that is definitely something that could happen. Unfortunately, now I don't think that's going to happen. But let's say at this point, I would say this: if the Sky lose out the rest of the games, I would hate that, but I wouldn't be ultimately surprised either. Now, I still hope that, like, the Dallas Wings are making moves as far as they're playing much better here. They won 3 games in a row, have the Dallas Wings, because the Dallas Wings may be looking at it now and saying, hey, the Sky's pick may actually be worse than ours. Yeah, man. Yeah. The guards aren't rookies, not much grace. Oh, I agree. I'm not giving the guards don't get nothing. We got all veteran guards there. You can't make an entry pass if you've been in the WNBA 5, 6, 7, and 8 years. No, man. You got to get that together. You got to get that together. Is Kelsey Mitchell serious about possibly leaving? I absolutely would love to see her on the Sky. I mean, listen, we'll see. We'll see. DJ TQ with the super chat. Thank you for supporting the channel, my brother. Says, I agree with your take on Spoon. In Friday's post conference, she mentioned issues with discipline, urgency, and involving the bigs. Areas where a coach should have a strong influence, not calling for a job, though. Exactly. Like, people were calling for a job. She's a rookie head coach. And, there have been coaches that in their first, year or first job, and I hope it just doesn't wait till she goes to the next job, but just don't look good. Jason Kidd looked like an absolutely terrible coach at his first job. So, she deserves some grace. And, let's hope that we see better. Let's hope that she learns. And I hope that she gets a veteran coach on that bench. I really hope that that's the case as well. I say let Reese be point forward. She seems to be able to get the ball to Cordoso better than the guards. Here's the thing. I don't disagree with you. I'm going to say this. I don't disagree with you. But the problem with running from just a logistical standpoint of running Angel right now as the point forward is that usually when you operate from the inside like that, you're operating inside out, not inside in. So the lack of spacing at that point becomes even more of a detriment because you don't have guards that are consistently making 3-point shots to even make the defense fear. Usually when you're running from a point forward standpoint, the point of that is to change the way that the defense has to guard you, because now if you have to worry about a forward being the one to handle the ball, it creates a little bit more opportunities. It creates lanes. It creates these things. Our guards, and it's not just suffering from not hitting 3-point shots as well. Our guards don't finish well at the rim. They don't cut well, right? So if we had a better, it's funny enough to say this, if we had better guards, right? And I don't even mean like as far as set up the offense guards, but as we had better scoring guards. Let's say, for example, we had 2 Kennedy Carters at point guard and small forward. At point guard and shooting guard, right? If you had 2 players that played exactly like Kennedy Carter there, it would be extremely great to play Angel Reese as the point forward, because the way that Kennedy cuts to the rim, the way that she finishes around the rim, the way that she hits those floaters, that would create and move your have to move the opposing defense around. But because you don't have that, it's not really going to work out that way. And I think that ultimately, I do hope that Angel's long-term role is being used more as a point forward, but we have to have the personnel that make it. We have to have the personnel that's going to make that go a little bit better. So until we do that, it's not really going to pay off really too much. So did you watch the last game? If so, what was your take on the first quarter power run that we ran out of gas? I mean, here's the thing. I'm not moved by that, because I don't even think it was necessarily running out of gas. Any team can have a good quarter. Any team can have a good quarter. Any team in any sport can have one good quarter. It comes down to how did you have that good quarter? If you go back and look at that quarter, yeah, the Sky were doing some things well, but it didn't really feel like something that was sustainable either. So we'll see. Where's the game streaming? You know what? That's a good question. Where's this game at today? I don't see anything listed, so I think it may just be a WNBA situation. Yeah, it's not listed on Ion, Amazon, nothing. It's just there. So League Pass would be the way you want to watch that, unless you're in Chicago and you have Marquee. Can the Sky win today? Yes, they can. That doesn't mean that they will. They can. They have the ability to. Our guards don't feed the post well, and especially not well when they're open. Every pass to the post seems forced. Completely no disagreements there. No disagreements there from you at all. From me at all. No, I won't say that you don't necessarily need bigger guards. You just need skilled guards. Like, if you like, unless you're planning on running your guards in a lot of pick and roll situations and posting them up, they don't necessarily need to be huge either, but you need to have skills that you can rely on. And unfortunately, they haven't been shooting the best. They don't pass the best. They don't cut the best. Like right now, our guards, unless they're playing with momentum, and especially with Kennedy out. Nothing I'm saying applies to Kennedy. Well, Kennedy's not a great shooter either, but The other things don't apply to Kennedy, but like as long as we're missing Kennedy Carter, we just have specialists, and that's not good for a starting backcourt, right? A complete starting backcourt. Lindsey Allen is more defensive than she is anything, but she can do some distributing. She can do a little bit of everything. Rachel Bannum's a shooter. You don't want her dribbling. The moment she dribbles, her efficiency goes down. Mariah Jefferson, Mariah Jefferson can do a little bit of everything too, but again, specialist, not really any one defined skill. Dana Evans is supposed to be a scorer, hasn't been that consistently this season. So it's just a lot. It's a lot of just questions about it. So y'all should have. Odyssey Sims would have done nothing to up the ceiling of this Sky team. I'm sorry, she just wouldn't have. Wouldn't have. It's on CW. Oh, okay, so it's on CW. Looking at Tankathon, I can see how they moving now. Well, the problem is with that, Antoine, is that the Dallas Wings own the right to swap picks with us. So if we tank too hard, let's say the Sky do lose out. Let's just you know what? Let me pull up Tankathon real quick. I just want to look at the odds real quick. Give me 1 second. I want to make sure I'm not talking out the side of my ass. Like, just give me 1 second. So right now, the Chicago Sky are technically out of the lottery. We all know that they're right outside the lottery, right? And with the Dallas Wings having the right to swap picks with the Chicago Sky, let's say the Sky lose out, which the Los Angeles Sparks only have 7 wins. Let's say the Sky lose out. The Dallas Wings would 9 wins, and if they win any more, have the right to swap picks with us. And that would mean that, let's say that we do get lucky, we're in the lottery, and then we somehow wind up with the first pick. The Dallas Wings are taking it. That's when people ask, like, oh, we can get Paige. There's zero chance we're getting Paige. Zero chance we're getting Paige. Feed Michaela early when she has a mismatch inside. I agree with that as well. You got Michaela Onyewerede is one of those teams that I'm one of those players that I think if she gets confidence early, she can play extremely well. Extremely well. How, bro? Okay, let me explain this to you. And I don't mean this to be, it's gonna sound like I'm being an asshole, but I don't mean to be an asshole. I'm just being matter of fact. So first off, let's not just act like you just added Odyssey Sims to a team that was just completely terrible. Like, they had extreme injuries on that team, right? And they also have a player in Enrique who we don't have anybody remotely like that scoring wise. So let's be clear there, right? So that's the first thing there. Secondly, it's a much different thing when you already have a high impact scorer, right? That even with the Dallas Wings being worse record wise than the Sky, they don't have the offensive limitations of the Chicago Sky. So it's not as simple as just adding. You got Satu back, you got Enrique back, you got Natasha there, you got, and then Odyssey Sims is able to come in. Where the Sky are right now, just adding Odyssey Sims to the shit show that we have, you may get a couple of more shots. You're not getting much else other than that, though. That's what I mean by she's not going to help her right. She's shooting the ball extremely well. I'll give her that. 50% from 3, we can use that. But let's be clear. Her 50% from 3 is less than 2 3-pointers made per game. That's not helping the Sky team that much. That's what I mean by that. Now, if you're talking long term, like getting her for the talent that she is, and if we improve this team, yeah, she can help it. But Odyssey Sims at 32 years old wasn't going to come into the Chicago Sky and all of a sudden fix stuff by making 2 more 3-pointers per game than what we're getting. It just wasn't. I'm not saying that she wasn't going to be good, but she's not just going to automatically up this Sky team by a tremendous amount. So that's what I mean by that. And again, this is not to shit on Odyssey as a player. Like, for example, let's say we lose Lindsey Allen and we lose Dana Evans this offseason and we draft a point guard and we sign Odyssey Sims to come in and help this team. Cool. Like, I'm not mad at that as a veteran piece. I just don't think Odyssey would have helped us a whole hell of a lot for where we are right now. Not because of her, but because the team needs so much more than just that. So much more than that. That's all I mean by that. Please, with dignity. And listen, get off the foul and shit. It's going to happen. Y'all need to pick up Celeste. At this point in the season, we're not picking nobody up, but I wouldn't be mad at that in the offseason. Carter's still out with COVID. I agree with that. Definitely. That's exactly what happened with Reese. She has lost her confidence and she doesn't have anyone with a personality as big as hers to mentor and give her guidance. You don't need somebody with a personality as big as yours to give you guidance. And that's not, I don't think it's that she has a lack of guidance. Isabel Harrison is helping guide Angel Reese. Angel has talked about it. She's helping Angel a lot as far as acclimating to the game. When you look at somebody who's been in the league almost 10 years, you don't need somebody to have a huge personality to help balance. You don't meet that. It doesn't have to be that exact same thing. I'm somebody with an extremely big personality. My mentor for basically my whole entire life is somebody extremely quiet and some would say meek, but like the dude's extremely smart and he's my mentor. So like you don't need that. Somebody just with a personality as big as yours. You just need somebody who earns your respect. And I think right now that's a mix between Spoon, Isabel Harrison's doing some of it, but I think it also comes down to like we as a team just lack discipline and guidance at times, and we got to get that together. I do think Lindsay Allen playing great gives us our best chance. Her and Camilla need to be the focal point. I mean, at this point, listen, I don't even know if it's somebody needs to be the focal point. You just need to people who have advantages. You need to take advantage of those advantages, make use of them, and we just don't do that or identify that well as a team or a coaching squad either. Need either a good point guard, either in the free agency or the draft. Also get a stretch 3. We'll see. Harris is perfect for Sky. Sky, this is a great point by Menace to you. Menace to your mama is an underrated username, by the way. I'm just really realizing what your username is. That is actually a go-to username there, my brother. Sky need to figure out their identity. Completely agree with you. We have no identity right now. None. No identity. The problem with the W is that it's just recycling players over and over, team to team. Mabrey has been on 4 teams in 4 years searching for a chip. I could tell that you just looked at where she's played and you don't really know the story behind any of that. I'm sorry, that's just wrong. If you just look at a player and say, "Oh, well, they've been on 4 teams, that means this," then maybe. But you got to actually know the story of the WNBA. Mabrey has not been searching for a chip. That's not been with Marina Mabrey. So now that's what she's done now, and that's what she was coming. Keep in mind, the Sky traded for Marina Mabrey. She signed with that team with the intentions of staying with the Dallas Wings. The Sky traded for her. So she wasn't searching for a chip. James Wade went out and got her because he wanted to pair somebody next to Kalia Copper because he wanted to try to rebuild this thing on the fly and stay competitive. That's what they were trying to do. Marina Mabrey isn't the type of player who's just been moving around the league searching for a chip. That's just incorrect. That's just not a right. That's not a right statement. So, sorry. That's incorrect there, brother. Or sister. K could go either way. Don't mean to misgender you. I ain't trying to be an asshole. So Mabrey was undrafted. Don't think Raven will enter the draft. However, Pow and Bree Hall from SC will. Yeah, I don't think Raven's going to be in this draft either, and that's perfectly fine. Mabrey playing good as fuck right now. Yeah, I mean, and that's what. Listen, Marina, what we've learned from Marina Mabrey, right? And this is kind of similar to the Zach LaVine situation if you're a Chicago Bulls fan. What we've seen from Marina is that Marina isn't a number 1. And that's perfectly fine, right? She's not the type of player where you can build your offense or your team around. But she's a damn good player. And if you have her as your number 2 or your number 3, God, if you can have her as your number 4, you better be competing for a title. So that's definitely something you need to look at for there. Tahina, here's the thing. I don't think she goes in the first round. I think, especially with her double torn ACL, I don't think she goes in the first round. Now, could they get her in a different round? That definitely is a possibility. Why? James Wade left for a chance at the NBA. He was the GM and head coach here, and he left to go be the lead. He's now the lead assistant with the Toronto Raptors, working his way into eventually getting. Listen, I have my problems with James Wade as a GM. I want to be clear here. As a GM, I'm neither here nor there on James Wade. But as a coach, James Wade is actually a pretty damn good coach. And I think that he saw a path and an opportunity to make the leap to the NBA. And he's already, from being just a assistant to now, like I said, I think he's the lead assistant or one of the lead assistants. He's on a path to eventually become an NBA head coach. And yeah, I don't know how successful he's going to be in that, but hey, shout out to him for being able to do that. I don't know if coach that's just the way I take this. I'm not saying that this is what you're saying, but for me, there is no the problem. The Sky are suffering from a lot of problems. So there's no one thing that I think fixes this team, right? There are a combination of it. Spoon needs to get better as a coach, which you expect to happen from when you're a rookie head coach. It's not like she head coached anywhere. She's a rookie head coach in general. So she's going to come. She's going to get better. Angel and Camilla are going to get better, which is also going to help this team. We do need a point guard. We need more shooting. We need better passing. We need a better offensive philosophy. We need a lot of those things. And so I think as those things grow and change, we'll see what happens. Double R says, well, sometimes they ignore Angel because she missed too many layups. That's a fact as well. That's absolutely a fact. MR, I gotta disagree with you. See, she wasn't efficient, but the ways that she helped the Sky a lot. She was our second leading rebounder, would help. And the thing, I know I say this a lot, and not everybody is always here, so I'm gonna repeat it again. One thing that Angel Reese did that people don't really know if you don't really look at the chess match of basketball, she was our second leading rebounder. And when you have a guard rebounding the ball like she did, even though she played small forward, that led you to getting out to fast breaks. And because the Sky suck at half court offense, it meant that we were getting easier buckets. She also was our leading steal person, our leading assist person. Those all things also help get easier buckets on the offensive side of the ball. So I won't say that she was balling out in the traditional sense of putting up a lot of points that people are going to look at, but Marina Mabrey was doing a lot of things that made our offense easier, even with her shooting like shit. She was shooting like shit. No excuse there. She could have helped it even further if she shot the ball better, but she was shooting like shit. But she still helped our offense get to a point of getting easier offense. And you're seeing that now. This Sky team is not getting anything easy usually. So Suns are better team, so by default, Mabry was going to look better. Exactly. That's the point there. Do you think it's because Mabry isn't a number one that she's playing better now, or the fact that she didn't want to be here, so she didn't really give it? No, Marina Mabrey gave 100%. She wanted to see how this thing worked, and if Angel and Camilla like hit tremendous leaps, like I don't think she would have left, even with the Sky losing. I don't think she would have left if she saw it like, hey, we're going to be a championship contender, and it maybe by next year. But I think that it's like two things can be true. Yeah, she did. I'm sure that down the stretch, especially while the Sky were losing tough games, and she just saw like, and probably also being disappointed in her performance, I'm sure she took her foot off the gas. But also, I think that you're also put in a better role, and the role that she's in now, she's thriving in. Right, the fact that they're able to have a player like Marina Mabrey come off the bench. I don't know if she started starting. I know she started off coming off the bench there. That's a huge benefit. Huge benefit. This channel underrated. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. We know basketball here. Like that's the thing. We really do know. Me and Stevo know basketball. And Stevo's like a WNBA historian as well. I've been a WNBA fan for the better part of a decade, but Stevo's recall between this and women's college basketball is amazing. So, Stevo's is what makes this channel special in a lot of ways. Maybe was hooping on the Sky, y'all tripping LO, mainly in the games that mattered for real. Oh, the games that mattered, absolutely. Games that matter, absolutely. Not seeing or looking for our bigs off pick and roll just kills our bigs morale. I completely agree with you. Nicole, yes, I was just watching her with the Sun. She has a team with the Sun. That is what she wanted with the Sky, more than Cardoso and Reese. Exactly. Exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, you just started watching WNBA? Well, thank you. Welcome, brother. Welcome. Thank you for joining WNBA, man. Chicago Sky Central. If you're a Chicago sports fan, I host Chicago Bulls Central. We also have Chicago Bears Central, Chicago White Sox Central, Chicago Cubs Central. Basically, so we're part of the Chi-Town Sports Central Network, which is a network that I created that initially started with my first channel, Chicago Bulls Central. But then, of course, I got my squad, man. Those are my people, my brothers. Like, we're not just workers, like we're brothers. Like Stevo, who you'll see here, C-Dub, who will live call this game, Bobby, Big Kev. We even got Skokes, who hosts Chicago Blackhawk Central. So yeah, I mean, hopefully, like, it's a homegrown network. We don't have any big backing, and just people who are passionate about this team, man. That's it. Or the city and the teams in the city. But all right, y'all, man. I love you guys so much, man. Let's see if the starting lineup got announced first. And then I'll go ahead and get off because C-Dub's going to come and do the live call. I want to leave some space between that. So same starting five that we've seen since Kennedy's been down. Lindsey Allen, Rachel Bannum, Michaela Oniwerde, Angel Reese, Camila Cardoso. That's your starting five for the Chicago Sky today. But yep, make sure you guys stay tuned in. Hit that subscribe button. C-Dub will be live for the live call. Love you guys. Let's get this dub.